Hello, hello, everyone. Y'all come on in and tap, 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 tap that screen. Make sure you share out the live. Yes, Keenan, we will be right with you in just a moment. We're going to play our little theme song real quick.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all.
2026. Every block, every ballot. This ain't left or right. This is right now. OVC. Teachers shaping minds. Vets who stood strong. Gig workers hustling just to get along. Parents, elders, first time voters in line. Same clock ticking, same moment in time. No dark money whispers. No backroom deals. Daylight choices and the truth that's real. Labels don't own us. We bigger than signs. Accountability lives where democracy thrives. Our vote counts. Yeah, remember the name. Every voice heard. We don't play no games. From the city to the plains, let freedom resound. Different stories, same future. United we found. Our vote counts, stand tall, no doubt. Integrity first, let the people speak loud. From the city to the plains, let freedom resound. Different stories, same future. United clear facts, no spin. Education unlock, breaking down the process from the door to the box. Who earns the trust? Who shows up to serve? Asking the questions. Leaders got nerves. Neighborhoods talking. Town halls packed. Local voices first. Yeah, we built it like that. Different faiths, views, so walking as one. Democracy stronger when we all get it done. Yeah. Our vote counts, yeah, remember the name. Every voice heard. We don't play no games. From coast to coast, let the movement expand. Power in the people, future in our hands. Our vote counts, stands tall, no doubt. When we show up informed, that's what it's all about. Our vote counts, stand tall, no doubt. When we show up informed, that's what it's all about. This ain't no cycle, nah, this is a standard. Long-term vision, principles planned. From schools to the boards, up to the higher seats. We connect the dots from the block to the streets. Peaceful power, respect and demand. Integrity measured by actions, not plans. OVC active, participation mounts. When the people stand ready, turnout counts, yeah. Our vote counts, yeah, remember the name. Every voice heard. We don't play no games. From the city to the plains, let freedom resound. Different stories, same future. United we found. Our vote counts, stand tall, no doubt. Integrity first. Let the people speak loud. From the city to the plains, let freedom resound. Different stories, same future. United we found. Every voice, every vote, integrity, inclusion, accountability. OVC, yeah. 2026. My vote counts, and so does yours.
Thank you, y'all. That is our theme song. We absolutely love that song, and it is 100% correct. Our vote counts. Remember the name, because we don't play no games. So thank y'all for joining us tonight. Make sure y'all tapping that screen. Send your daily heart me up here, and make sure you share this out to everybody you know. Anyone that may be in Texas, since we are talking to Keenen Colbert tonight, who is running for Texas State Senate. So while they may not be in District 2, will be determining the laws for the whole state of Texas. So get the Texas folks up in here, so they can ask Keenan the important questions. Hi, Keenan. Keenan, you already got my vote, Keenan, because I did not have to explain to you how to put this background up or nothing. You got my vote already. I ain't even in Texas. I'm gonna move to Texas just to vote for you.
Appreciate that.
You don't understand how many candidates, and I mean, I know everybody's not social media savvy, so we have to walk them through a little bit. But yeah, you got it. I love it. Welcome to Our Vote Counts. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing wonderful. It's truly an honor to be here, to show up, to anything, anywhere, to talk to people about the importance of voting. It's one of my favorite things to do. My I would say it's my second favorite thing to do. My first favorite is certainly speaking to people when I'm on the cam.
Uh-oh, you didn't froze up.
But then the second, which is a close second, is actually telling folks like, "Hey, this is important. People care. People are organized, whether it's in person or online. This is important. It affects everyone."
Absolutely. Well, again, we thank you so much for being here. Let me tell you and everyone else a little bit about us. We are Our Vote Counts, a nonpartisan coalition of citizens from diverse states and backgrounds, united by a shared commitment to empowering voters and promoting candidates who stand for integrity, inclusion, and accountability in the upcoming election. Through voter education, candidate outreach, and community engagement, we support leaders who are ready to serve the people, not special interests. By working across state lines, elevating local and national issues, we aim to increase voter turnout, inform public dialogue, and build momentum for lasting change. Our vote count is more than a name, it's a promise. It's a movement and a rallying cry for democracy. Together, we are shaping the future one informed vote at a time. So again, I thank everyone for being here. Again, remind you, tap, tap, tap that screen, share this out. From my research on this young man, he is brilliant. So I'm sure folks are going to want to hear him and hear what he has to say. So make sure you invite everybody you know in, especially if you're from Texas. Absolutely. So let's see, Keenen. A little bit I've learned about you. Let's see. Keenen Colbert is a lifelong Texan, a decorated U.S. Marine Corps veteran who served his country from 2012 to 2021. He graduated from Texas State University in 2016 and went on to build a career in management and community leadership. Known for his strong sense of service, Keenen has spent years engaging with people across Texas to understand their concerns and improve their lives. He is passionate about helping others, bringing people together, and encouraging civic participation and dialogue. He is currently living in Forney, Texas, unapologetic, unaffiliated, and unwavering. That sound good?
Better than I could.
Well, tell the people anything else you would like them to know about you, and why the Senate?
So I'll start with things that maybe people might not know about me, and that ties into what you first said about me, is that I'm a lifelong Texan. Texas is my home. It always has been my home. I believe it's always going to be my home. And outside of active duty military, I've lived here my entire life. Matter of fact, as soon as I got out of the military, what brought me here in Forney, Texas, in Kaufman County, was I literally went for the first job that gave me an offer that was in Texas. I wasn't even considering going to somewhere else because I knew where home was. My family's from here. My mother, she is a career juvenile detention officer. So any of the grade school bullies, or the young criminals who happen to be below a certain age, they go straight to my mother to get straightened out. So it tells you that discipline has never really been a problem for me. And in basic Marine Corps training, whether it was on the enlisted side or the officer side, was nothing in comparison to the disciplinary structure that I got already from being home growing up. So big shout out to my mother for giving me that level of discipline. Into your second question, because I love
answering people's direct questions. I hate it whenever politicians pivot or avoid a question or things like that. So I will remember the question as best as I can. I will answer it. Your second question, why the Senate? My answer to that is why not? Number one, I'm a constituent just like everyone else in this district, and I think that a lot of things, for good or bad, can be affected with legislation, with laws, with leadership, with the right representation in the right room. I think for a lot of things that need to change, that need a positive change in Texas, that happens on the Senate floor. I want to make something perfectly clear. I am not in my race to win arguments. I am in my race to win an election because I believe that the people of this district deserve better representation than what they've been given.
Absolutely. I mean, when I say why the Senate, you could have ran for the House of Representatives. You could have ran for U.S. Senate. You could have ran for U.S. House of Representatives. You could have ran for comptroller. I just was wondering why the Senate, but you answered that clearly. That's where you feel like the most change can be made. Absolutely.
Yes,
All right. So speaking of your incumbent, Bob Hall,
mm-hmm.
I listened to you speak about he's been in for about 10 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And we're done with that.
I would like to be personally. I again, and also another little thing about me, I'm not going to say anything behind somebody's back that I haven't said to their face. I've met Bob Hall recently, and admittedly, I mean, yeah, it was very clear that he had no interest in, hearing me speak or being in the same room as I spoke or even, shaking my hand originally. But I made a point to like go over to him so that we could have a conversation because he's going to be hearing a lot of me and from me in the coming months. I have nothing against him personally, right? Like, I mean, as a person, I think he's a guy just like everybody else is a guy. But when it comes to the state senate, when it comes to representing people, I think there's many areas where he's failed. I think the areas where he's failed specifically is remembering that you don't just represent your supporters, or you don't just represent people that look like you, that think like you, that love like you, or that worship like you. You also have to take into account all the folks that don't. And failing to acknowledge those people as your constituents fails your entirety of constituents. And I think that that's a failure that we see a lot of across the board, especially with where we're at in our country right now with leadership at even the very highest levels. There's a lot of folks that want to win, whether it's an argument or some quote unquote culture war. I'm not trying to win a culture war. I'm not trying to win an argument. Like it or not, this is one Texas. Whatever we're stuck with, we all have to be stuck with. And if you're not addressing or acknowledging all of your constituents, then you're failing all of your constituents. I think we deserve better, and I think I'm the right person for the job.
Absolutely. So you are going to be representing 7 counties. That includes Kaufman, Navarro, Rockwall, Van Zant. Did I say that right?
Van Zant, but close
Van
enough. They
Zant.
don't know what you're talking about.
And then it's part of Collin, Dallas, and Ellis.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. I was just making sure, y'all did some gerrymandering and moving around. So just making sure you still have those counties. Currently, the makeup of those counties are about 52% white, 30.5% Hispanic, 13% Black, 2% Asian, and about 5% other races. With a population of over 850,000 people. So are you ready to serve each and every last one of those constituents?
If I wasn't ready, I wouldn't be running. Not only am I ready, I think that my level of service-based leadership is long overdue for this district and for the state of Texas as a whole. One thing I want to make clear, I run off of facts. And when I'm presented with new factual information, I'm happy to, adjust my way of thinking or change my mind. But here's the facts that I know so far that I'm not going to make any excuses about. Number one, we are the second largest state in the country. And if you really think about it, we have the most usable real estate because in Alaska, there's a lot of ice that can't be farmed, right? So we really do have the most space that we can use. Number two, we're the second largest GDP in the country. If we were our own country, we would be the eighth largest GDP in the world. So what excuse do we have to close public schools, to close hospitals, particularly hospitals in rural areas? What excuse do we have to not expand broadband internet to rural areas, knowing that our digital economy has been booming for years and decades? What is the excuse? We have the money, we have the resources, we have the land. My theory is that we lacked the leadership. We have the same problems, Democrat or Republican. I don't care. I don't care what your race, your color, your creed, your political affiliation, your background, your sexual orientation. I don't care what that is. Guess what? All of those demographics that you just described, they all pay bills, just like I do, right? That is universal. The problems are the same. It's the prioritization of those problems or the perception of those problems. That is what makes it different. So I'm going to stick to facts and say, hey, we've been under Republican rule for essentially the last 32 years. Quick question for anybody that's watching. Has your property taxes gone down in the past 32 years? Has your education system gotten better in the past 32 years? Has access to higher education gotten better in the past 32 years? Has the cost of higher education gotten better in the past 32 years? I can go on and on about the things that could have gotten better but didn't. But I'm going to leave it as saying there's no excuse why we as a generation in this point in time, I don't care how old you are. If you are living today, you're a part of the people that this involves. There is no excuse as to why we shouldn't be leaving behind a better Texas in a better United States than what we originally found. And right now, I don't think that that's what's happening. And I think it's because we have poor leadership.
Absolutely. My Texas residents in the comments are saying nope, nope, nope. So they 100% agree with you. So my icebreaker question to you was going to be, give me your favorite part of the military, of the Marines. But Miss Thigioli had a question that says, what's the number one thing you've learned in the military that the Texas legislation is missing right now? So I'm gonna pose that one to you first.
Oh, that's a fantastic question. And I touched on it a little bit earlier. But it's servant-based leadership. That would be the number one thing that I think that the Texas State Senate is missing. I think that based on my experience in my campaign so far, I know what it's like to be on the side of the person that's running, and I know what it feels like whenever you say something in front of a group of people and everyone applauds or everyone comes to you after the event is over and they want to shake your hand. I can understand how that sentiment of people are giving me attention or this is really serving my ego, I can see how that would stray somebody off the path of remembering what this whole thing is about. This race, this Texas State Senate race that I'm a part of, this isn't about me. My name is here so you guys can recognize it whenever you go to the ballots, whether it's in March or it's in November. But I want to make it perfectly clear and let it be known everywhere I go. This is not about me. This is for the over 800,000 constituents that live in this district that deserve the best possible representation. I'm running because I saw that nobody else was going to. I never imagined, if you would have asked me 6 months ago if I was going to be running for public office, I would have thought you were absolutely insane. But I saw that nobody was willing to do this. And I waited. I thought, like, is anybody going to put their name up, or are they completely okay with the representation we have in our state legislation right now? And I saw that no one was going to do it. And I felt that with my leadership background and my skill set, I would be the right person for the job. And everywhere I go, it seems like I really am compared to what we've had before. But that skill, that servant-based leadership to say, hey, this isn't about me. This is about the Marines that I lead. This is about the mission. This is about accomplishing this goal, instead of putting my name and face on billboards or mailers or flyers or whatever it is. No, if you're not going to see a picture of my face when you go to vote at the ballot. And I would say probably 6 months after, after the race is over, you're probably not going to go onto the internet and go see my face even more. I'll still be in the community, but you just might not see my face. And that's okay, because I'm still going to remain engaged. I'm still going to reach out into the community, and I'm going to carry your voices onto the Senate floor in Austin, Texas. I'm not going to speak for you. I'm going to listen to you and then take your sentiment where it needs to go.
Absolutely. Our audience, I am enjoying the conversation, the questions already. Y'all already getting ahead of me. But let me explain to Keenen how this works a little bit. I have 5 topics that I am going to cover. 2 or 3 questions each topic. And so we got a little time to do that. And then in between that, we're going to do what we call rapid fire. So it's going to be some questions with quick 1-word answers or yes or no answers to the questions. Okay. So our first topic that we're going to go into is economy. Your platform talks about reducing the cost of essentials like housing, utilities, transportation. And in fast-growing counties like Collin and Rockwell, families have been seeing housing prices and property taxes rise sharply in recent years. What specific state level policies would you push to help working and middle class residents in District 2 keep up with the cost of living?
Well, I think there's a number of things that I could do, but I don't think that there's any one thing that I can do by myself, obviously. Something that I would like to address for the cost of living in the state legislature is like, prime example would be insurances, like health insurance or car insurance. Like, I think that insurance companies need to provide justification as to why their costs are increasing, instead of just hoping that it's never opposed instead of hoping it's never opposed by the time it gets to the Capitol and that it just passes, right? Plenty of other states do this, but Texas doesn't. And I don't think that there's an excuse not to, but a simple thing like that would provide checks and balances to say, hey, why are you increasing your premiums for these residents? Tell me. If you don't have a reason, I'm not going to do it, but it's not just going to go unchecked. Another thing would be protecting Texas resources. Prime example, there's a lot of folks in rural Texas that are concerned about data centers coming in and using up all of their water. And who's going to ultimately be paying for that water if those data centers get it the way that they want to? Because those billionaires, I don't know if you guys know this, but they don't really pay taxes like they should be doing. We do. The working class people do. I would propose, hey, if you want to bring your business here, number one, we're prioritizing Texas residents first when it comes to water. But number two, you're going to pay for the resources that's required to run your business. You're not going to use tax loopholes just to pass the cost off to residents, because again, once I'm in there, I'm prioritizing Texans first. I think protecting natural resources would be a tremendous help to maintaining an affordable cost of living. I mean, I can go on about a number of things, but I think those 2 things are pretty specific and would definitely would be felt. But I mean, I could go on. There's all sorts of things that we can do, especially in terms of let's take school vouchers, for example. Why is it when we have such a large GDP as a state, we're not properly funding schools or paying teachers? Why do teachers who are already being, underpaid, having to pay for their own school supplies for their kids, so hopefully they have the tools they need to learn? No, we need to create and legislate a process that fosters like competitive and high performing teachers to want to come
Now
to
you're
this.
getting ahead of me, Keenan. We going to the education part now.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Again, I get passionate. There's
I
so many
know, I
things we
know.
can do.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about job growth.
Sure.
How will you strengthen local job growth, small business opportunities across these different economies so that residents don't have to commute long distances to like the Dallas area for jobs?
Sure. Simple answer. Break up big businesses. I mean, that's the easiest one. You mentioned housing a little bit earlier, and there's only a handful of home builders, right? Like we know this. It's the DR Hortons or the Guillens or whatever company you might have. Um, Breaking up big business inspires smaller business to give the highest quality product at the most affordable price, right? But when you have big business, what usually tends to happen? Well, they can charge whatever they want because they know you're not going to go anywhere else. We see it everywhere we go. There was a point in time Netflix cost $7 and you didn't have ads. Come on now, like be so for real. This it when we in when we break up big business into smaller businesses, it affords the ones that are high performing or that do have good quality products and services to really thrive. I've
Now,
been
how
in
do you break up big business?
you legislate it. That's why we need me in the state legislature. Here's the problem. We have a lot of lobbyists that are a part of these big businesses that say, hey, we really want you in this elected seat. Here's $1 million. Remember us whenever we get there. No one is giving out $1 million without any strings attached. And if they are, hey, my name is Keenen Colbert. I would love $1 million with no strings attached, but that's just not how it works. So you break up big business, number one, by legislating it, and number two, by getting corrupt donations or these $1 million donations out of our electoral processes. There should be limits to how much you can donate to any position. You don't need $20 million for no reason with no strings attached. Hey, Greg Abbott, it's not a coincidence, right? Why you have so much money. It's these people don't want nothing. They want you to scratch their back right after they scratch yours.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, about 30% of your district two residents are Hispanic, and many work in service, logistics, and construction sectors that have been hit hard by inflation. What economic strategies would you support at the state level to lower everyday costs like food? So we're talking about making sure that the constituents of your district get these lower costs for the working families. And so, would you want to reiterate that just a little bit more for me?
Yeah, sure. So the beginning of your sentence or your question was about the like the
Hispanic community.
demographics, many of them being in logistics, which fun fact is also my background in the Marine Corps. I think that it is long overdue to raise the cost of minimum wage. And for anybody that disagrees, my only question to them is how do you think you would be able to live independently off of 7.25 an hour? Right? Like I couldn't imagine doing that. And I've you did plenty of research on me and my background. Nothing about my background says silver spoon, right? I've had to get it out the mud just like many other people. But when we earn more, we also not only do we have the capacity to provide for ourselves, we have that spending power to give our dollars to those businesses that might need it, right? I think that $15 an hour would be a pretty good start. I also think that $20 an hour would be a pretty good start because I don't see the cost of any everyday goods going down. And I also don't see the competitive, the competitive wage ever trying to keep up with that. I think businesses, and understandably, the point of a business is to make profit, right? I get that part. I don't even disagree with that. But part of maximizing your profit margin is seeing how much it costs to pay your workers to do the job, right? If the cost to pay your workers to do the job is too low for them to be able to live off of, well then hey, we got a problem, right? In the world of business, you can be two out of three things: fast, good, or cheap. If you're fast and good, you don't have to be cheap. If you're cheap and fast, you don't have to be good. And if you're good and fast, you see what I'm saying? You can mix it however you want to, but that's just a general rule of business, right? You want good product. You can choose whether or not to be cheap or not, but never cheap enough to where you're putting your workers in a disposition, right? Your workers, if anyone in this state or in this country is doing 40 hours of any labor, of any kind of work, they should be able to afford to go to the doctor whenever they get sick, afford their medication, or afford ancillary amount of money if they need to fix their car, or take their pet to the vet, or cover some sort of an emergency. I think that can easily start at the state legislature to say, hey, we need to pay people more because this isn't enough to live off of.
Absolutely. 35 years ago, when I started working, it was $4.25. So literally, it's only gone up $3 in 35 years. That's the federal.
And those housing prices have gone up a lot higher than that too.
Correct.
Over time.
We was paying $800 35 years ago for a 2-bedroom apartment. Now we're at $2,400. So this is not weighing out.
Right? And just to add a little bit to that sentiment, I'm not saying that just because I am, a young-ish person and think like, oh yeah, people should get paid more. No, like I've lived this. I've felt the struggle of trying to make it as an independent person. And anytime I've talked to someone of the previous generations, I remember, I remember speaking to a wonderful older lady a few months ago, who told me that her first house that she bought, the mortgage cost $13,000, and I was astounded because show me somewhere today that's selling a home for $13,000, because ain't no way, right? You'll be lucky if
that's the down payment.
House starts with a two, right? Like, it shouldn't be this hard. Again, ideally, you're supposed to leave behind a better society than what you originally found. And we're not doing that. It's great that the older generation, back in the 50s or the 60s or the 70s, it's great that you had a lot of buying power with your dollar. It's great that you had technological advancements and, easy access to childcare or healthcare or education or what have you. But for between then and now, we have not made it easier for young people to reach the American dream. The American dream that was promised to so many young people for our generation has been pushed farther out of reach. And I think that needs to stop.
Absolutely. So we just want to remind everyone, if you have any questions for Keenen, please request up, hit the multi-guest at the bottom, and you can request up and ask your question. Or you can do like someone just did and put the question in the chat. And that question is, are you related to any Colberts in New Orleans?
Not that I know of. My family is from Texas, Abilene, Texas, to be specific. So if you run into, my mother's maiden name was Brooks. So if you know any Brookses in Abilene, Texas, chances are they're related to me. Yeah, my dad, obviously his last name is Colbert, and they're from the East Coast, like Virginia, Maryland, that sort of area, but not New Orleans.
All right. Well, we are going to go into healthcare. Now, District 2 includes rural counties where residents often have to travel long distance for specialists or emergency care. What state level steps would you support to keep rural clinics and hospitals open and expand access closer to home for these communities?
Again, great question. I'm loving everything that you're asking because these are the issues that matter. I've gone out to the rural counties, Navarro and Van Zant. I've seen these people. There's a lot of older folks that need health care that, if they're in the time of an emergency, they might not have the hour and a half to drive all the way to, God knows what hospital to maybe get the health care. I think it's as simple as, well, again, this couldn't be done solely by me alone, right? The state legislator, you have to propose a bill and then everybody has to vote and all these sorts of things. But I think a more deeper answer would just to be to look at the rural areas that don't have coverage within a certain distance or commute, and prioritizing whatever kind of emergency funding that we would need to provide so that way they stay afloat. Because we're talking, it's easy to say healthcare, but the reality is we're talking about people's lives, right? We're talking about people that might have health complications, that might have disabilities, that might be living in pain, that might be giving birth soon. These affect people's everyday life. And in the time of an emergency, especially in this great state of Texas, you need to be close. It's a huge state, right? You can drive for 11 hours and still be in Texas. I'm sure many of us that are in this conversation have done it. So with that amount of space, you need to accommodate for people's health needs, and whatever emergency funds or whatever funds might be stored somewhere in Austin, Texas, or under some office, maybe working with like the land commissioner or a comptroller or whoever it needs to be to say, hey, this hospital provides coverage for X amount of people. How can we keep this open? What legislation do we need to pass? What money do we need to move to make sure that it stays open? Or looking out into the future, because there's a lot of places that are experiencing growth, right? Prime example, what you alluded to earlier was Collin County, right? Collin County is growing pretty quickly. I'm sure in the past, there was, the mayor or the city council, they had to plan for that growth. Hey, let's look at that plan that was originally made and adjust it to what we're seeing so that way we can provide healthcare coverage or energy coverage or internet coverage or whatever it is to these people, because they're not just numbers and it's not just healthcare. It's people, and these are their lives.
Right, absolutely. I see your questions. I'm going to ask them, and I think I'm already ahead of you, Miss Thick Yoli. As a Marine Corps vet, running in a district with many service members and families, what would you do in the Texas State Senate to expand mental health services, especially crisis and PTSD care, in fast-growing suburban areas like Collin and Rockwell counties where demand is rising?
Shoot, that's a good question. And admittedly, I'm not shy to say when I don't have a full answer. Right now, I don't know. My idea of how I would address that, or my concept of how to address that would be to incentivize mental health care professionals around the country to want to come to Texas, right? Because in the state economy or in our nation's economy, like, we want to look attractive, right? We want businesses to come here. We want builders, and we want small businesses to come here. We want people to come in and bring all of their skills and their talents and their labor to make Texas even better than what it is. For mental health care professionals, I don't know what the best school is to become, a mental health care professional or a therapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist or whatever it is. But I know that Texas has always been one of the best states in terms of taking care of their veterans. And in today's time, a lot of veterans are struggling with mental health. I don't think that's so much as a like, hey, don't worry, the state's going to take care of you. Like, although that's a good thing, but I think that the buck shouldn't stop there. It should say, what can we do to bring in the top talent into this state as opposed to other states? What can we do to get the best teachers? What can we do to get the best doctors, the best healthcare professionals? What incentives as a state do we need to provide or to legislate to say that we want to recruit the top talent? We want you to stay here, whether it's in rural Texas or it's in the city, to say that everybody has access to high quality healthcare. Because you could, I mean, I went to Texas State University, right? That's where I went to college, and I've got nothing against other colleges, right? You could go to a community college, or you could go to Texas State, or you can go to UT, or you can go out to Harvard or Yale, right? What is incentivizing you as an individual to want to go to that place to receive the education? Do you want the name attachment to Harvard or Yale or Rice? And hey, by all means, right? Go do that. But with where we're at now, how can we plan for the future to say, hey, Texas has it all. Come here. Hey, mental health care professionals, come here. Hey, educators, come over here. Give us your talents. We pay you a good wage. We take care of you in the community. So that way we're not just bringing in talent, we're retaining talent.
Right. Okay, Texas want all the good people. Leave some for Maryland. We need some too. I'm just saying. Now
nothing wrong with Maryland, but it's a competition. I want to be the best.
I know, right? Now someone did say, how has your district been affected by the redistricting?
Well, the district that I'm running for right now is, I mean, if anyone cares to Google Senate District 2 and just see the shape of it, you can kind of figure out that it's pretty gerrymandered. And you know what? I'm okay with fighting that fight. And the reason why is, number one, I think that no matter who you are in this state or in this country, you have a heightened sense of awareness of what's going on in our political atmosphere now than what it was, 2 years ago or 10 years ago, right? So if you were once apathetic to politics, most likely you're probably now paying attention. If you were once paying attention, now you're making much more educated decisions when you go to the ballot. If you were a voter, like a consistent voter, maybe now you're an organizer, or you've like joined a group, or you've protested once or twice. So I think that everyone has a heightened awareness with what's going on in politics, which, for better or for worse, as to the reasons why that's happened, I think it's ultimately going to be a good thing. But I also think that everyone is feeling the pains of the economy, of affordable or accessible healthcare, or of surviving being a small business. Now, I've lived in Texas my whole life. Texas has been largely run by Republicans for over 30 years. We've seen a lot of, at every level, what Republicans have promised to do for the American people. How are those promises working out? Because, hey, look, at face value, I would love to say, hey, we're going to make America great. We don't need to talk about the again part, but I could say, hey, making America great. That's awesome. I think America is great, but we could certainly do better always, right? But when you promise so many things and then fail to deliver on so many things, come on now, like, that's the reason why a lot of people voted for you for one reason or another. And I'm not just talking about the president. I'm talking about, the governor, the state senators, the congressmen. I'm talking about all of them. When you've made all of these promises, and it is not only evident, but obvious that you failed to deliver on those promises and make the lives of your constituents better or easier, right, then the proof is in the pudding. If somebody was already committed to voting Democrat, well then, hey, good news. My name is on the ballot. I would love to earn your vote. But if you are a diehard Republican that's just tired of being lied to or tired of having to justify to your friends or family why you voted the way that you did, or maybe you just want to talk to your kids or grandkids again because they might have cut you off. Hey, maybe it's not too late. It's 2026. Midterms are happening right now. Maybe now is a good chance to vote for a way that's not only going to benefit you, but benefit your family because you've seen the promises that they made you and they haven't delivered. And then they continue to lie to you or give you a boogeyman, or they want to talk to you about DEI without ever explaining what that even stands for or whatever they think woke is.
Mhm.
Hey, I'm not talking about culture wars. I'm talking about policies and ways we can actually improve your life. So whether you're a Democrat or Republican or independent or whoever, hey, let's talk about the issues and then talk about a way to get there to better everyone's life. Because again, this isn't about me. This is about the people of this district.
Absolutely. Now, my Joni in the comments, she says that she works for LMAH in Kaufman, Ellis, Navarro, and Rockwall. So she has some ideas for you if you concerning how to help the veterans, if you would like. And so I'm sure she's following
DM
you.
me, please. DM me by all means. I would love to have that conversation with anyone and everyone in terms of how to improve Texas because we have a lot of ground to make up for if we do actually flip this state blue. Because it's not just about winning the elections. And I've told people that I've run into that are running for different things along the campaign trail, it's not just about winning. It's about how you're going to deliver because no one's going to care unlike the current administration at the top who keeps blaming the previous administration. I don't care how we got here. I care that we're here and I care how we get to where we want to go. So it's very important that you not just win the election and run on improving people's lives. It's about delivering on those promises the day you get in up until the day you get out.
Absolutely. We also had a question. Do you support telehealth services for mental health treatment in the rural residents?
Yes. Oh, yeah, that easy. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
However, somebody can reach the help that they need, whether that is a video chat or that's a FaceTime or that's a drive across town, whatever somebody needs to avert themselves away from continuing a mental health crisis, I'm all for.
All right. Now, Black maternal mortality rates are 2 times higher than white women. What is your specific plan to lessen that gap?
Well, number one, I wouldn't do anything in the medical health field without consulting with the professionals and leaders in that field because I'm not a doctor, right? It would be great if I was, but I'm not. I don't know why that. I have my theories, but we don't have to talk about it now. But I'm sure you are picking up what I'm putting down.
Yeah.
I would talk with the medical healthcare professionals that see it and live it every day, and work with them on the most effective way forward. If there's a bias, let's address the bias. If it's a matter of access, let's talk about how we can give people access. If it's money, let's talk about how we could bridge that gap. But I would hate to have in 2026 and moving forward somebody to not have as good a healthcare as their neighbor because they're a statistic is applied to them or they're a part of a demographic. No, this is the United States. Everyone everywhere is just as valuable as the next person. We don't do kings here. There's no special, what's the right word for it? No one should be favored in terms of healthcare over another individual just because they're poor or they're of a different ethnicity or background. So I would, again, to answer your question, I would work with the healthcare professionals, invite them to Austin or meet them wherever they are and see how we could bridge that gap.
Absolutely. Shoshana, District 2 encompasses Kaufman County, Navarro, Rockwell, and Van Zant. But it's also partially in Collin, Dallas, and Ellis counties. So that is District 2. She says she's in Austin.
I mean, hey, my mother works in Austin. Austin was my stomping ground for a while, although I went to college at Texas State. My selection officer, that I used to, or that I worked with to commission in the Marine Corps as a second lieutenant, he was based at UT. So I would go to Austin all the time. Big fan of that place.
Okay. All right. So we are going to go into our first rapid fire. Okay. Term limits, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You said that
No, yes. Absolutely. There is no reason why you should not be ready to pass the torch after X amount of terms, right? Like you need that turnover to bring in new blood. I understand that, and I'm sorry, I know this is rapid fire, but I definitely want to expand on this. I understand that, maybe there's a certain group of folks that are doing great things and they want to continue that work. But again, we're supposed to leave it better than how we found it. And part of that is passing on the torch. If you can't leave your work, for the next person to pick up, you're failing.
Absolutely. Fix first, roads or public transit?
Ooh, I would say prioritize public transit, because I think in the long run that would save people. That would save people a lot of money. Um, if you had the chance to, ride a clean and efficient bus to get to work, and it didn't cost you filling up your gas tank every week or every 2 weeks, I think a lot of people would take that option. Plenty of other countries have done it and continue to do it, and it works very well. If you don't believe me, go to East Asia, literally almost like anywhere, and check out how they're doing it. Singapore is incredibly efficient. Not to mention, it would take cars off of the road, so that would reduce CO2 emissions. It'd be better for our environment. You pack a bus with 15 or 20 people, and that's 15 or 20 cars that are probably not going to be on the road,
Right.
saving people money, saving the city or the community money. I would prioritize expanding public transportation.
And saving the roads.
Yeah, and then saving the roads.
Right.
But yeah.
You're not very good at this, but we're gonna go ahead. Rent control, support or oppose?
Oh, support. Yeah, you shouldn't be able to just charge whatever you feel like you can get away with in terms of rent. Like that's what keeps a roof over people's heads. So yeah, I would support rent control.
All right. Do you support lowering the voting age?
Lowering the voting age, I'm not sure if I would support that. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, the voting age is 18, right? If at 18 you're old enough to run for office, vote, serve in the military, even if it's during a time of war, smoke a cigarette, buy a lottery ticket.
Not in some places you have to be 21 now for that cigarette.
Yeah, in some places, right? But like at 18, you're old enough to do so many things. I think 18 is a pretty good age for people to start.
I asked this question because I actually saw you talking to some youth on one of your things. So I thought maybe, I know you're getting them prepared, but I thought maybe, you thought maybe a 16-year-old would have the wherewithal to pick a good candidate or not.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that they do, and I think today's youth is far more in tune with the body language of people, or like the subliminal messaging. Like they're really in tune with the little things and they're paying attention. But they are still kids, and they're a part of one of those societal protected groups. So
do you think it should be raised?
Do I think that the voter age should be raised?
Yeah.
No, I think 18 is still a pretty good age. I was doing all sorts of stuff when I was 18. By the time I was 18, I had signed up for the Marine Corps. I was living in I was I moved out of my mother's house by 17. Like I was a functioning, independent human being at 18. I think it's a good age to start. But that's the right age, 18, in my opinion. But I would entertain it if somebody proposed something else and justified it.
Okay. Biggest issue facing your community right now?
Biggest issue? Well, I don't know if I can do that in rapid fire, and the only reason why I say that is because I have both rural Texas and the city,
Okay.
and those are very different flavors. I think the city's biggest issue is growth, expansion, people moving in, like the development. How are they going to plan for that? And I think the biggest issue for rural Texas is resources and like access to things like healthcare, access to things like internet, access to things like water without having a data center come in to soak it all up, like those sorts of things. So two different kind of worlds, but I'm aware of their issues.
Absolutely, you are. One word to describe your leadership style?
Servant.
Servant. Okay. What's one way to make your government more transparent?
Holding people accountable, especially when they fail. I think that, particularly with the money, right? Like if you have X amount of dollars, you should tell people what you spent it on or why you spent their money, because it's our tax dollars, right? It's not just the government's money. It's our money that we gave to the government, right? Like if you gave, if your child asked you for, $20 and you're like, and wanted to buy something and came back and they didn't come back with any change, it'd be like,
what you spend that money on?
exactly. Where did it go, right? But yeah, holding government accountable, like being more transparent is holding people accountable. I think that no one is above the law. Anyone who thinks that they're above the law, you should probably check to see if they're in certain files or check their hard drives. Um, Government officials should be held to a higher standard of conduct and performance. Period.
I got that. Last question. One state program you'd cut to save money?
A state program, vouchers.
Okay.
Kill the voucher program, because that's funneling enough money out of our public schools. So I would cut that in a heartbeat. Wouldn't even think twice about it.
I hear that. Now, I do have a question from the audience. They said, are you encouraged by the early voting turnout for Democrats?
Yes, I'm very encouraged by early voter turnout, although I do think that it could be better. I still think that, uh, I know I've said this a bunch of times, but I've lived in Texas my entire life. I know what Texas is really like. It is not simply a Republican state. It's a low voter turnout state. It just happens to be that most of the people that turn out to vote Republican. And the way that we fix that is by getting everyone who is paying attention to actually go to the ballot and cast their vote all the way down the ballot. For there, and you'll see it for like big names. Take James Tallarico or Jasmine Crockett, for example.
Mm-hmm.
There are folks that are saying like, oh, I hope Jasmine wins, but they're not going to go out and vote for her. Or, oh, I think James Tallarico's got it. I don't need to vote for him. He's got it already. You don't know that. Cast your vote and support. It's not just what you're saying on the internet or what you're saying to, your friend at work, saying like, oh yeah, no, I think this is what's going to happen or that's what's going to happen. No, your voice doesn't need to be heard in a comment section. It does not need to be heard in the break room. It needs to be heard at the ballot.
Right. Sensei, I'm going to say that's what that is, wants to know, how do we get better voter turnout?
You talk to people that you know. If you live in the state of Texas, I know that you know somebody that does not vote. I would bet anything that you want to bet on the fact that you know somebody that does not vote, or maybe that you know somebody that's never voted before. You want to know how we get better voter turnout? you talk to somebody and you encourage them to vote. If I told you that I just came back, let's wind the clocks back like a year when Sinners came out. I thought Sinners was a great movie. I loved it. If I went out to see Sinners because I saw a cool commercial and I wanted to check it out, that's one thing. But if I were to try and get you to go out and see Sinners, I'd be like, hey, you should go check out this movie. It's really good. Like, I just saw it the other day, totally vouch for it. It's, it's really good. Go see it. I know you'd like it. It is, as much as we like to, spend our time on social media and consuming information and stuff like that, that's great. But there is nothing more valuable, both in our democratic process and in your life, than your voice. Talk to people that you know, because they will listen to you, and tell them, hey, come vote with me. Hey, do you know who Keenen Colbert is? Hey, do you know who Gina Hinojosa is, or Bobby Cole, or Chris Bell, or whoever? And I was just naming off names of folks that are running for governor. But, Chelsea Hockett, or Jason Pierce, or Jasmine Crockett, or whoever. Hey, come with me. I'm planning on voting today. You free? Like, your voice is far more powerful than you think. You want to know how to get better voter turnout? After you're done scrolling, take your phone and text that person that I know that you know that doesn't vote, and start that conversation. And if you put them all in a group chat, for all I care, I don't care, but start the conversation, because that's how you actually get change.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sensei, stick around. I'm about to ask him some more questions. He may address the concerns of the constituents with these questions. And if anyone has any questions, you can request up, ask him directly, or you can put them in the chat, and I will pose the questions to him. How will you combat the misinformation machine coming from the Trump administration?
Fact check. Listen, it's hardly, I would hardly even call it misinformation at this point, as opposed to just flat out lies. Listen, this man campaigned on so many things. And what campaign means is that you go around the country setting up all these big venues to talk in front of a camera and a microphone and say a bunch of stuff. He chose to say a bunch of nonsense and say he's going to fix all of these things on day one. You know how you combat misinformation? Check the facts. It's been a year now. How many of those day one promises did he actually deliver? How many of those promises did any of the people that campaigned deliver on? You combat that misinformation going back to the receipts, baby. Look what they said. Look at what they did. If it doesn't match, you got a problem. Exactly. And by the way, these people have phone numbers, right? You can call your elected officials. You can call their office. You can call your House rep. You can call your Senate rep. You can send them emails. It's publicly accessible information on how to reach these folks. You want to combat the misinformation, hold them accountable. It's that easy. You have the power to do that. It's free. If you're on this internet listening to me talk, you got the same internet I do. It's free.
Exactly. So we're going to go into education. And my first question, rural communities like Van Zandt and Navarro have students where students may have fewer advanced courses and career training options. How would you expand access to career and tech education, dual credit, and workforce programs so that students can succeed whether they go to college or straight into the job force?
I think that leans into technology, leaning into the access that technology affords us to have for our students. I mean, we still are running our education system off of the 19th century model, when we were, going through an industrial revolution, and, factory workers were all across the land, right? And you have these classrooms that are still very much built similar to what a factory would have been set up like. Leaning into the advantages that technology gives us and the access that technology gives us to other things could, revolutionize the way that we teach children. It can even offer a personalized education experience for, let's say, someone who has like special needs or is, has impairments for their learning. But staying with the same old is going to get the same old.
Absolutely. Now this is kind of controversial, and we probably have to watch our language a little bit with the TikTok algorithm. But today, many kids in Texas go through mass pew pew training. Okay, how do you think this affects future generations when it comes to learning in a safe environment?
I mean, how well could you learn in a safe environment if that existential threat was, I went to public school, right? Like, I know who the quiet kids were. And when I was going through public school, I made friends with those quiet kids because, like, we're all just kids. Maybe you just need a friend, or maybe you're actually cool and you just don't like to talk much. If those interactions with the folks that are going through crisis at home or have mental health issues, or just easily aggravated to extreme violence, I wouldn't be able to learn very well. I think there's a number of ways to address making schools safer, which you could easily start with just better regulating our circulation of firearms, right? And again, I'm Texan. I am a proud gun owner. I'm also a very educated and responsible gun owner. And as much as I love the Second Amendment, my favorite part of the Second Amendment is the first couple of words: a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. None of that other stuff happens without a well-regulated. And the fact that you have guns, firearms, being the number one killer of children in this state and country, I would strongly argue that that means it is not well-regulated enough.
Right.
I would also support, if it was feasible or it made sense, like perhaps instead of trying to post, cops or ICE agents near elementary or middle schools or what have you, why don't you employ National Guardsmen to those places? Like they're about the safest folks that you can think of. The National Guard, they keep us all safe. I'm sure there's many folks that are in, there's many men and women that are serving in uniform that would be more than happy to protect our nation's youth in their schools. There's a number of ways.
But wouldn't that feel really militarized? Like that doesn't feel free to me.
Oh no, I'm not saying like bring them in full kit, not bringing them to like go into war or anything like that, for example. Like that's not the point I'm making. But in terms of like if there was a school that was more prone to violence for whatever reason, maybe it's just in like a rougher part of town or the county or the district or whatever, as opposed to, getting someone who is, from, I don't want to be careful because I know this is on TikTok, but like when you get somebody from a 3-letter agency that sounds like it belongs in a drink that you want cold, right, that's probably not that's not going to make you feel safe. Or maybe some police officers in some communities, the fact of the matter is I'm sure there's plenty of people that don't feel safer when police are around. But around the world, there's a long history of folks that are very happy when, the National Guard or the military shows up, and just establishing that presence alone has historically kept people safe. Right.
That's a compromise. It's a compromise with, it's not quite the police, but it's still people there to keep you safe.
Yeah, something to say like, hey, there's someone to make sure that you're safe, or we're going to actually do a better job at regulating our firearms and how they circulate or how they're, bought and sold in this country. There's a number of things that we can do, but we have to agree that, the problem is kids don't feel safe and they probably can't learn that way and they can't learn if they're hungry. And the solution is keeping them safe and feeding kids, because you can't learn very well when your stomach touches your back.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. Now we're going to talk about something a little controversial, and that is racial division.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So District 2 is about half Caucasian, half people of color. Yet many residents of color, both suburban and rural, say they feel underrepresented in local decision making. How would you work in the Texas Senate to make sure all communities feel heard and included?
Well, my promise to everyone that I've spoken to thus far is that I'm not just campaigning to let people know my name, or to earn their vote. I'm letting them know that it's not going to be the last time that you see me. Like what I said in the beginning, I'm not going to speak on your behalf. I'm going to carry your voice to the Senate floor where it needs to be heard. And that comes from remaining engaged with your constituents throughout your term. So my answer to that is I'm going to continue to have the conversations with the communities. I'm still going to show up for the communities, and I'm still going to speak with the communities, whether they're rural or whether they're urban, regardless, and talk about, the issues that affect them the most or that they think are like the top priorities. That way, they get continuous representation, whether they're Democrat or they're Republican or whether they're apathetic to voting or they've been voting their whole life. You're going to have a chance to be heard by me.
Absolutely. Now, this is out of your district a little bit, but it is a Texas thing that just happened. There's a current case out of Manville, Texas, where which is a suburb of Houston, where two black men were arrested. Wait for the gifts. Where two black men were arrested based on an accusation from a white woman of aggravated SA. Okay, so I can't say that word, that RAPE,
Yeah.
but this department is now being labeled racist. Do you still see a racially biased police department as an issue in Texas? And if so, how will you address this as a senator?
I think I want to be careful how I word this because I want to be very specific. I think an organization with racial bias anywhere is an issue, right? And I'm not just saying that because I'm a black man. And for those that don't know, this isn't just a tan. I've been black my entire life, right? 32 years, haven't missed a day. Perfect attendance. Racial biases anywhere in any organization can be problematic because truly you don't know who or what you're dealing with. But if you presume to know, it can hinder the safety of the citizens. It could also hinder the safety of the police officers. And that would be a problem. At the end of the day, they all want to go home too. They have a job to do too. And cops they're supposed to do a job that keeps us all safe. So if they're not safe, or if we're not safe just because they see us as a certain way, big problem. I'd like to ask again, what was the second half of that question?
So if I was saying, if you still see if you think that this is still a problem in Texas, I know it's a problem in some other states. But how will you address this as a senator?
As a senator, I would address that by, simply working with law enforcement. Like maybe it's a matter of training or bias or engagement. I think that there's a level of comfort that you would want to have with local law enforcement as a community, and that requires engagement from law enforcement, right? Like I say we as Black people, and also as constituents and Texans, we don't want to be afraid of the people that are protecting us. No one wants to be afraid of their protectors. And if you are, that's a clear sign of some form of abuse, And I'm not just talking police, but it's the proof is in the pudding, right? Um, I think working with law enforcement and providing, perhaps I would be open to like starting initiatives to that provide more engagement with the community, because maybe if you engage with your constituents or with your community more often, if your face is seen more often, then people won't see you so much as a threat. But if you racially profile somebody, automatically it's because you probably don't know them at all. But it's different when you know their names. It's different when you've seen their faces. It's different when there's a familiarity and there's a like some form of a relationship to say like, hey, I'm here to help.
What do you think about if it's not already available, starting some type of data base that um, keeps track of police officers who have been um, either accused or even sued for uh, racial bias?
Well, I mean, it's my understanding we once had that and then it went away, and we've all seen how that's gone, right? Like what you're bringing up isn't some brand new idea. Like it was already a thing, and if anybody cares to look up who got rid of that, hey, please do your homework, come back to me. I'd love to talk about it.
As you
Um,
said, the receipts, right?
yeah, we got plenty of receipts, right? This is, I don't know if you've paid attention to the news in the past 400 years, but like black people being targeted by law enforcement, it's been a thing for quite some time. And it's not just black people; it's poor people. It's also white people. It is minorities of different races or religious backgrounds. There's a lot of bias because we simply don't know each other well enough, or perhaps there's not enough engagement between law enforcement or between constituents to say like, oh yeah, I know that person, like I know how to calm this down, or whatever, what have you. Um, I To get back to your question, I think it would go back to my original point, which is not just elected officials, but also like public facing roles such as police officers or firefighters should be held to a higher standard, right? If you are law enforcement, you should be held to a higher standard once you break or violate the law. If you are a lawmaker, you should be held to a higher standard of conduct and performance if you break your oath or violate the law. Police officers are definitely in that category. And to be completely transparent, I've got nothing against any individual police officer. There's plenty of great cops that just wanted to serve their community or keep people safe. And I think that that's a wonderful thing. There's a lot of folks that feel much safer when a police officer shows up to, like, let's say a domestic violence issue, or if it is, like some sort of a dangerous scene. There's so many situations where like you want cops to be there. But again, they should be held to a higher standard whenever they fail their community. You're law enforcement. You should be above anyone else. You should be the ones that are following the law because you're enforcing it.
Exactly.
Anything other than that is saying rules for thee, but not for me. And that's unacceptable to me.
Absolutely. Now, our current president has been called out recently for posting a racially insensitive video. What does the reaction of the country tell you about the state we're in?
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but I actually made a post about his posts immediately as soon as I saw it. Um, I think that it is embarrassing to hear individuals defend that sort of post or behavior. Um, I personally don't believe that it was a staffer that made that post. And the reason why I don't believe that is because the current White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, once said in the not so distant past that every single post that hits Truth Social comes from, and I quote, the horse's mouth. She said it. I didn't say it. She said it. Every post that that he makes on Truth Social comes directly from him. And even if there was a staffer, I would imagine that he probably approved it. And if he did not approve it, then I would say that that constitutes somebody being fired, which I have not seen happen. Now, that's just how I would address it to him or his staff or the press secretary. But for the people that are defending that behavior for free 99 on the internet or in their friends group or in their communities, why? What do you have to what do you have to benefit from this blatantly racist post about our previous president? What about that level of decorum or respect for the previous presidents do you find acceptable? Because like I see that not only is it in poor taste and poor judgment and poor behavior, and it sets a very poor example for anyone and everyone that sees that. But I've also come from an environment, the United States Marine Corps, where I was taught that the standard you accept is the one that you're willing to walk past, even if it wasn't you, that by you being associated with it or not taking it down in a timely manner or not holding somebody accountable to say like, hey, that's wrong, you're fired, then that tells me that at some capacity you accept that standard of behavior. By the way, the Obamas never received an apology. By the way, like the post was up for at least 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So for the administration at the top, I find that behavior absolutely unacceptable, and you would find it unacceptable if somebody had done that to, your wannabe king. But for the folks that are defending it for free, what kind of country do you want us all to live in? Because that sort of behavior is what many generations of warfighters and activists had, fought and marched and organized to ensure that our progress would keep that sort of dialogue or behavior in the past.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know, Ayana, I said it earlier, right? Okay, so we're going to do our second rapid fire. And this is fun. This is the fun questions, okay?
Sure.
So, would you rather a salary job or hourly job?
Oh, I've done both, and I say that I don't think one is better than the other. My answer would be like, what is the hourly rate and what is the salary? Because anytime I've got a salary job, it sounds good until you're working overtime and not getting paid for it, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, what's the rates? Because every time I've gotten salary, I'm like, ain't no way this is enough. I'm working all day. And anytime I've been hourly, I'm always, anytime I've had an hourly role, I'm looking at the clock being like, all right, a couple more hours. And then that takes away from my desire to want to do my best because I'm like, okay, I'm here for the money. I'm here for the time. If I had to choose, I would say salary because it makes me want to be more efficient and leave earlier whenever I'm done. But
I'm gonna warn the audience that just came in. He's horrible at rapid fire. Okay, I'm just letting y'all know that already. Okay.
You're right. I'm bad. Okay, I'll be better. I'm a lock in.
While driving, would you rather take the interstate or the back roads?
Interstate.
Okay. Would you rather travel by plane or by car?
Ooh, by plane, easily.
Okay. Dressing on the side or dressing on top?
On top.
Good answer.
Yeah, gotta have that. On the side.
While at the beach, are you swimming or are you building sandcastles?
Oh, I'm doing both. I'm swimming, and then when I'm done, I'm building sandcastles.
Okay. Crunchy peanut butter or smooth?
Crunchy. I want the peanuts in the peanut butter. Yeah, that's me.
That tears up the bread. No. Strawberry milk or chocolate milk?
Chocolate. There's nothing top. Look at it. Chocolate. Nothing's topping chocolate.
As a Texan, what is your favorite thing to barbecue?
Brisket.
Okay. Longhorns or Aggies?
Longhorns.
I thought that you was gonna say that.
Not even close.
Astros or Rangers?
Rangers.
Okay. Last and the most important question: Texans or Cowboys?
Ooh. See, I live in Dallas, so that one's hard. They both lose too much. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Cowboys.
He lost the vote. Live over. Everybody go home.
I love the Texans, but Cowboys are right in my backyard, and I got to give props to them because they do a lot of that stadium. They know how to entertain.
All right. Well, we're going to go into our last topic, and it is on veteran affairs.
Okay.
All right. So one of your favorites, probably. Now, one of the things I researched was that Texas does have a lot of great benefits for veterans. Employment benefits that you get some special privileges when you try to become a state employee. If you try to own your own business, the $300 fee is waived, and the franchise tax is deferred for 5 years. Educational benefits: you can send your kids to school if you are a veteran under the Hazelwood Act. Um, Recreational benefits: you get a free hunting and fishing license, and you get entry into the parks for free. Motor vehicle benefits: you get free driver's license, $3 license plates, and airport parking for free. Now you got to be on disability to get all this stuff, y'all. But this is the benefits that Texas allows for their veterans. Entertainment benefits. Of course, everybody has veterans discounts at their shops, but you also get no cost burial and some life insurance happening. But the biggest benefit is the housing benefit. There is no property tax if you are on 100% disability. And if you have, if your disability isn't quite at 100, you get a discount on your property taxes, and also you get homestead exemptions. So, with all of that being said, what gaps have you seen firsthand in Texas for supports for veterans, even with all of this happening? And what state level changes would you push to improve veteran care as they return to civility?
I think the gaps that I've personally witnessed has come in healthcare with the VA hospitals. I've seen a lot of healthcare providers be overburdened with too many clients, and I mean, everyone everywhere only has so much bandwidth that they can, commit to something because eventually something's got to give or something's going to break. I see that at the VA hospital, at least the one that I go to, and I'm sure that this is a story that echoes to many other locations, that when a doctor leaves, there's not a doctor that comes back to replace them in a timely manner, or if at all. And so those patients get referred to another doctor, expanding their workload. And then that kind of perpetuates the same issue, which again is what would make me want to, legislate in a way that makes Texas more attractive to educators and healthcare providers. Because like I said, like you want to invite the best, but you need to give them a reason to want to come. Is it the pay? Is it is it the surrounding areas or the activities? Is it the fact that, we could preserve our parks and natural resources? What is it that would make people of a higher caliber in their profession want to come? I see that gap in VA care. I think the other things are great. And I think that there's many other states that could learn from how Texas takes care of our veterans, but we can always do more. Some people have risked or sacrificed everything to ensure that, folks like us live free and we can be who we want to be. We can love who we want to love. We can go where we want to go, and we would have a say in our democracy. Freedom isn't free. I know this from firsthand experience, and there's many veterans. Hopefully, some of them are in the chat, but there's many veterans in Texas that know exactly what I'm talking about. We do a great job of taking care of our veterans, but we can certainly do better.
Yes, they are. Matter of fact, one of our veterans' wives has asked, would you support expanding veteran treatment courts for those struggling with PTSD and substance abuse disorders?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's easy.
He said yes.
Oh,
Absolutely
yeah.
supporting that. Now he got the short answers, y'all. All right. Keenen, this has been an absolute pleasurable conversation with you. So I just have a couple of closing questions, and we're gonna wrap this on up. You've described yourself as an ordinary Texan stepping forward to serve rather than a career politician. What motivates you personally to take on this role, and how will you stay accountable and connected to the people of District 2 once in office?
What motivated me to do this was I truly believe that Texas deserves better representation than what they're getting. I think that we have all the resources to make life easier and better for people. And I think that that is not going to do itself, and that our current government at any level is not just going to fix itself. I truly, love and believe many of our founding documents, one of which is, for the people, by the people. I'm just as qualified as many other people probably watching this to run. I just had the right amount of courage on the right day to fill out the paperwork and put my name out there. So that's what brings me to do it. Well, remind me again what the second part of the question is.
The second part is, how will you stay accountable and connected to the people
Oh,
of District 2?
yes, I'll stay accountable and connected by staying connected. I will actually hold myself accountable and be transparent with what I'm doing. And again, I'm going to carry people's voices to the state senate, not speak on their behalf. That's how I'll stay accountable, is remaining engaged with all of the counties, with as many people as I can find. And look, if after this whole political cycle is over, like people go back to checking out, hey, you've got every right to not pay attention or to not show up to any of the events that I'll host once I'm duly elected. But you will always have the option. Like the option will always be there. I'll always be willing to speak with people, especially about issues, especially if it's somebody that I disagree with, to find some sort of common ground, as long as we agree on the same issue. But the people will hold me accountable if I, for whatever reason, fail to hold myself accountable, which thus far in my life, I haven't done that yet. But if next year's the year, or during this term is the year, trust me, I'm counting on the people to expect more from me as their state senator, and I'll deliver.
Excellent, excellent. I'm with Miss Ashley in the comments. She said, "Y'all better vote for this man." I wish I could too, Ashley. I really wish I could. I'm
Thank
ready to
you.
go to Texas right now. I thank you for your service, sir. I thank you for joining us here today. Please remind the people of when the primary and the election dates are, how they can reach you, how they can support you, and where all your medias are.
Yes, absolutely. So early voting has actually already started. It started on February 17th here in the state of Texas. It goes all the way out to this Friday, the 27th. So if there's anybody watching that lives in Texas, you can vote right now. If you wanted to wait until the day of the primaries to vote, that's March 3rd. And you're more than welcome to vote then too, but I'm willing to bet the line's probably going to be a little longer. So if you just wanted to take 5 minutes out of your day and knock that out at your nearby polling place, go ahead and knock that out. If you wanted to see more of me, or read more of what I'm about, I have a website. It is KeenenForSD2.com, KEENENFORSD2. You can find my social media accounts on there. I've got my Facebook, my TikTok, my Instagram on there. There's a donate button. If anybody would feel inclined to donate, it would be greatly appreciated. I'm running a grassroots campaign. I'm not taking any big money from anyone because I can't be bought. This campaign is going to be for the people, by the people. So if you have it in your heart to donate, and willing to donate, it would be greatly appreciated. If you wanted to stick to the free stuff, hey, I understand, and I'll tell you what that is. Tell someone that, number one, make a plan to vote if you haven't already. And number two, reach out to the person that you know that doesn't vote and encourage them to vote. Like that person or people, whether it's one person, 10 people, or 20 people. If you wanted to stick to the free stuff to support me, this isn't about me. This is about our democracy. Bring as many people as you can to the polls and encourage them to make educated decisions all the way down the ballot, because that's how our democracy gets better. That's how our country gets better. And that's how we prioritize the people. We elect people that are for us, by us.
Absolutely. Again, I thank you so much for coming to hang out with me tonight. This has been an absolute pleasure. I appreciate it. I want to invite you. We do have another town hall coming up right after this at 8 o'clock, where we will be talking to another candidate from, help me out, OVC. And I'm gonna get to that in just a minute. I'm gonna tell you about our roundtables we have. Oh, there we go. So James Russell is from Arkansas, and we will be talking with him at 8 o'clock. This is he's running for U.S. Seat, a congressional seat for the House in the 4th District of Arkansas. So we're going to be seeing him in just a few minutes. But like I was going to say, we also do a roundtable every other Sunday. I believe we have one coming up on the 1st. So look for an invite for that. You will be an absolute pleasure to add to this roundtable. If you can, we got 2 more in on the 15th and the 29th. And we just get other candidates like yourself together, and y'all talk about the issues, things that's happening, kind of bounce some ideas off each other. And because we are really trying to make this lasting change. We're like out with the old, in with the new ideas, new faces, new things. So we want y'all to come together and come up with this plan of how we're going to get this country back on track. And then lastly, for anyone out there who would like to be a part of OVC, we are recruiting moderators, like what I do. We are recruiting moderators. So if you want to be a part of the change, DM us. We will get to talking to you, get you set up. You will meet with trainers, and we can get you started, and you can talk to these candidates and get this ball on this show on the road. So I thank everyone for coming out tonight. I thank all of our vote count staff and employees, and everyone that has their hand in this, making this the great show it is. Again, I'd like to thank Keenen for joining us tonight. And again, as y'all see here, we have a Creators Caucus coming up, and that is TikTok creators that have been in the political algorithm, and they have been talking to people for the last year now. So we want to hear what they have to say. What if they gathered talking to many people every day about the state of our union? And so come listen to this. You might get some insight on what the people are really looking for too, Keenen. So that's on March 7th. So we got lots of things happening. Y'all just be engaged. I just want to remind you all, we are Our Vote Counts, a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates of integrity, ensure every voice is heard. Through education, outreach, accountability, and action, we are building a stronger democracy, one informed vote at a time. So make sure you continue to join us, because your vote is your power. Thank you all. Y'all have a good night.